21.6.2. The ear. The ears perform two sensory functions: hearing and maintenance of body balance. Anatomically, the ear can be divided into three major sections called the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. Figure 21.7. The outer ear consists of the pinna and external auditory meatus canal. The pinna collects the vibrations in the air which produce sound. The external auditory meatus leads inward and extends up to the tympanic membrane, the eardrum. There are very fine hairs and wax secreting glands in the skin of the pinna and the meatus. The tympanic membrane is composed of connective tissue covered with skin outside and with mucous membrane inside. The middle ear contains three ossicles called malleus, incus, and stapes, which are attached to one another in a chain-like fashion. The malleus is attached to the tympanic membrane and the stapes is attached to the oval window of the cochlea. The ear ossicles increase the efficiency of transmission of sound waves to the inner ear. An eustachian tube connects the middle ear cavity with the pharynx. The eustachian tube helps in equalizing the pressures on either sides of the eardrum. The fluid-filled inner ear, called labyrinth, consists of two parts, the bony and the membranous labyrinth.
The bony labyrinth is a series of channels.
Inside these channels lies the membranous labyrinth, which is surrounded by a fluid called perilymph. The membranous labyrinth is filled with a fluid called endolymph. The coiled portion of the labyrinth is called cochlea. The membranes constituting cochlea, the rhinus and basilar, divide the surrounding perilymph-filled bony labyrinth into an upper scala vestibuli and a lower scala tympani. Figure 21.8. The space within cochlea, called scala media, is filled with endolymph. At the base of the cochlea, the scala vestibuli ends at the oval window, while the scala tympani terminates at the round window which opens to the middle ear. The organ of Corti is a structure located on the basilar membrane which contains hair cells that act as auditory receptors. The hair cells are present in row on the internal side of the organ of Corti. The basal end of the hair cells is in close contact with the afferent nerve fibers. A large number of processes called stereocilia are projected from the apical part of each hair cell. Above the rows of the hair cells is a thin elastic membrane called tectorial membrane. The inner ear also contains a complex system called vestibular apparatus located above the cochlea. The vestibular apparatus is composed of three semicircular canals and the otolith. Macula is the sensory part of saccule and utricle. Each semicircular canal lies in a different plane at right angles to each other. The membranous canals are suspended in the perilymph of the bony canal. The base of canal is swollen and is called ampulla, which contains a projecting ridges called crista ampullaris, which has hair cells. The saccule and utricle contains a projecting ridge called macula. The crista and macula are the specific receptors of the vestibular apparatus, responsible for maintenance of balance of the body and posture. 20.6.2.1 Mechanism of hearing. How does ear convert sound waves into neural impulse, which are sensed and processed by the brain, enabling us to recognize the sound? The external ear receives sound waves and directs them to the eardrum. Eardrum vibrates in response to the sound waves, and these vibrations are transmitted through the ear ossicles, medius incus and stapes to the oval window. The vibrations are passed through the oval window onto the fluid of the cochlea, where they generate waves in the lymph. The waves in the lymph induce a ripple in the basilar membrane. These movements of the basilar membrane bend the hair cells, pressing them against the tectorial membrane. As a result, nerve impulses are generated in the associated afferent neurons. These impulses are transmitted by the afferent fibers via auditory nerves to the auditory cortex of the brain, where the impulses are analyzed and the sound is recognized.